Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Starfire, watching the asteroid field drift past on the main screen. The rocks spun slowly in the darkness between stars, while the ship moved carefully through the maze of floating stone. He had been out here for 3 months now, exploring this empty corner of space where no human had ever been before. His crew was small, but good at their jobs. Lisa Park ran the engines and kept everything working. Kevin Torres handled security and weapons. Amy Chun managed all the communications and computer systems. They had been together for 2 years now and worked well as a team. The mission was simple enough. Find new planets that humans could live on. Map the safe routes through dangerous areas. Look for anything unusual the Earth Command should know about. It was quiet work most of the time, but Jake liked it that way. Out here, they could make their own decisions without someone looking over their shoulder every minute. Amy looked up from her station with a puzzled expression on her face. She had been monitoring the long-range sensors while they moved through the asteroid field. Something had caught her attention, and she was trying to figure out what it meant. "Captain, I am picking up an energy reading that does not match anything in our database," she said. "It is coming from about 2 kilometers ahead of us, behind that large asteroid cluster." Jake moved to look at her screen. The energy pattern was strange and definitely not natural. It pulsed in a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat, but much slower. The computer could not identify what type of power source would create such a signature. "Could it be a ship?" he asked. "Maybe, but if it is, then it uses technology we have never seen before," Amy replied. "The energy output is very low, like something that is damaged or running on emergency power." Lisa turned from her engineering station to join the conversation. She had been listening while running diagnostics on their own systems. "If there is a ship out there and it is in trouble, then we should be careful. We do not know who built it or what their intentions might be." Kevin nodded in agreement from the security station. "Could be a trap. Pirates sometimes use fake distress signals to lure in rescue ships. We should scan the area thoroughly before we get too close." Jake considered their advice. Both Lisa and Kevin were right to be cautious. They were far from any human support, and if something went wrong, they would be on their own. But his gut told him this was not a trap. The energy readings were too weak and scattered. Whatever was out there was genuinely in trouble. "Amy, can you get us a visual?" he said. She worked at her controls for several minutes, adjusting the sensors and filtering out interference from the asteroids. Finally, an image appeared on the main screen that made everyone stop talking. The ship was unlike anything they had ever seen. It was smooth and curved, like something that had grown rather than been built. The hull was a dark metallic color that seemed to shift and change in the light. Most of it was intact, but one section near what might have been the engine area was badly damaged with torn metal and debris floating nearby. "I am not detecting any life signs, but the hull material is blocking some of our scans," Amy said. "There could be someone alive in there, and we just cannot see them through all that interference." "What do you think, Captain?" Lisa asked. "Do we investigate, or do we report this to Earth Command and wait for instructions?" Jake knew what the regulations said. Any contact with unknown alien technology should be reported immediately. A specialized first contact team should handle the situation. But that would take weeks, and if someone was alive over there, they would be dead long before help arrived. "We are going to dock with that ship and see if anyone needs help," he said. "Kevin, prepare a boarding party. Lisa, make sure our medical bay is ready for casualties. Amy, keep monitoring for any other ships in the area." His crew moved quickly to follow orders, even though he could see the concern on their faces. They all knew this was against protocol, but they also trusted his judgment. In 2 years together, he had never led them wrong. 20 minutes later, Jake was floating through the airlock into the alien ship, wearing a full spacesuit and carrying emergency medical supplies. Kevin and 2 security officers followed close behind, with weapons ready but not drawn. The inside of the ship was dark, except for their helmet lights. The corridors were too wide and too tall for humans. Everything was curved with no sharp corners. Anywhere, strange symbols were carved into the walls, but they meant nothing to anyone on the team. The air was thin, but breathable according to their sensors. They found her in what looked like an escape pod that had crashed into the side of a larger compartment. She was unconscious and bleeding from several wounds. Her skin was blue and silver, like metal in moonlight. She was humanoid, but taller and thinner than any human. Her face was elegant, with large eyes that were closed now, but would probably be beautiful when open. "Is she alive?" Kevin asked through the com system. Jake checked the medical scanner he was carrying. "Yes, but barely. We need to get her back to our ship right now." "Captain, are you sure this is a good idea?" one of the security officers said. "We do not know anything about her species or what diseases she might carry." Jake looked at the injured alien woman. She was helpless and alone on a dying ship in the middle of nowhere. Maybe she was dangerous. Maybe helping her would cause problems later. But right now, she was just someone who needed help, and he could not walk away from that. "We are taking her with us," he said. "That is what humans do." The alien woman had been unconscious in their medical bay for 3 days. Jake visited her every few hours to check on her condition and make sure she was comfortable. Her wounds were healing much faster than any human injuries would, but she still had not woken up. Lisa had run every test she could think of to make sure the woman was not carrying any diseases that could harm the crew. Everything came back clean. Her biology was similar to humans in many ways, but with some interesting differences. Her blood was blue instead of red, and her heart beat much slower than a human heart. Amy had been working around the clock, trying to understand the alien language. She had found several data files in the crashed ship that contained what looked like voice recordings. The language was musical and flowing like water over stones. The computer was slowly learning to pick out individual words, but translation was still impossible. Kevin remained suspicious of their guest. He posted guards outside the medical bay and insisted on checking all the security systems twice per day. He did not trust anyone who appeared so suddenly in such a convenient location. In his experience, things that seemed too good to be true usually were. On the 3rd evening, Jake was sitting beside the medical bed reading reports when the woman finally opened her eyes. They were large and violet-colored like deep space between the stars. She looked around the room with obvious fear and tried to sit up quickly. The movement made her wince in pain from her healing wounds. "Easy there," Jake said in a calm voice. "You are safe. We found you on your ship and brought you here to help you recover." She stared at him without understanding. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out at first. When she finally spoke, the words were in her own language and meant nothing to Jake, but her tone was clearly frightened. She was asking questions that he could not answer. Amy rushed into the medical bay when the monitoring systems alerted her that their patient was awake. She brought a portable translation device that she had been working on. It was crude, but might be able to handle basic communication. "Try speaking to her again," Captain Amy said, as she set up the device. "Maybe we can get a few words translated." Jake spoke slowly and clearly. "We are friends. We want to help you. You are hurt, but you will get better." The alien woman listened carefully to his words. When the translation device repeated them in her language, she looked surprised. She spoke back, and the machine translated her words into choppy English. "Where am I? What happened to my ship? Who are you people?" "You are on our ship," Jake said. "Your ship was badly damaged. We brought you here to save your life. My name is Jake Morrison, and I am the captain of this vessel." She considered this information for a long moment. Then she spoke again, and the translator worked to convert her words. "I am called Zara. I was fleeing from raiders when my ship was attacked. You should not have saved me. It will bring you trouble." "What kind of trouble?" Amy asked. "The raiders who attacked me are called the Korthik. They are savage and cruel. They hunt my people to steal our knowledge and technology. If they find me here, they will destroy your ship and kill everyone on it." Lisa had been listening from the doorway. She stepped forward with concern on her face. "How long ago were you attacked? Could these raiders still be in this area?" "I do not know," Zara said. "Time has no meaning when you are dying. It could have been days or weeks since the attack." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. If hostile raiders were still in the area, then his ship and crew were in serious danger. He should have been more careful before bringing an unknown alien aboard. But it was too late to change that decision now. Over the next few days, Zara grew stronger and more willing to talk. She explained that her people were called Valorians, and that they had been spacefaring for thousands of years. They were scientists and scholars who preferred knowledge to warfare. This made them easy targets for more aggressive species like the Korthik raiders. She told them that she had been working at a research station when the attack came. The Korthik had destroyed everything and killed most of her colleagues. She had barely escaped in an emergency pod before the station exploded. Her ship had been damaged during the escape, and she had been drifting helplessly when Jake found her. Amy made great progress with the translation system. Soon they could have real conversations instead of exchanging simple phrases. Zara was fascinated by human culture and asked many questions about their history and customs. She seemed especially interested in their reasons for helping strangers. "In my studies of different species, I have learned that most civilizations only help others when they expect something in return," she said during one of their talks. "You rescued me without knowing anything about my people or what I could offer you. This is very unusual behavior." "Not for humans," Jake replied. "We help people because it is the right thing to do. We do not need a reason beyond that." Zara looked puzzled by this explanation. "But what if helping me brings danger to your crew? What if I have nothing valuable to give you in return? What if my people are your enemies? Did you consider any of these possibilities?" "Of course we did," Jake said. "But you were hurt and alone. Nothing else mattered in that moment." This answer seemed to disturb Zara more than comfort her. She spent the next day in thoughtful silence, occasionally asking Amy strange questions about human psychology and social behavior. It was clear that something about their actions had challenged her understanding of how intelligent species were supposed to behave. Kevin remained wary of their guest, despite her apparent friendliness. He noticed that she always seemed nervous around the security team, and tried to avoid being alone with any of the armed crew members. She was most comfortable talking with Jake or Amy, and barely spoke to Lisa at all. During her recovery, Zara revealed more about herself and her mission. She had not just been any researcher at the destroyed station. She was a senior coordinator, carrying important data about Valorian defense systems. The information in her memory, implants, could help protect other research facilities from Korthik attacks. This revelation created tension among the crew. Lisa argued that they should copy the defense data and send it to Earth Command. It could help protect human colonies from similar raids. Kevin agreed and suggested they could trade the information for advanced alien technology. But Jake refused to even consider taking Zara's knowledge without her permission. When she overheard the crew discussing this possibility, she was amazed by his response. "You could force me to give you the information," she said. "Your technology may be primitive, but you have weapons that could compel me to cooperate." Why do you not simply take what you need? Because that would be wrong, Jake said simply. We do not steal from people we have promised to protect. Zara stared at him as if he had said something impossible to believe. The message from Earth Command arrived on the 10th day after they had rescued Zara. Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on the communication screen looking stern and impatient. She had received Jake's report about finding an injured alien and was not happy with how he had handled the situation. Captain Morrison, you should have contacted us immediately upon discovering alien technology, the Admiral said. A first contact situation requires specialized protocols that you are not trained to handle. You have put your crew, and potentially all of humanity at risk with your reckless actions. Jake stood at attention while receiving the lecture, but his jaw was set in a stubborn line. He had known this conversation was coming, and had prepared himself for it. With respect, Admiral, the alien was dying when we found her. Waiting for first contact specialists would have meant letting her die. That was not your decision to make, Captain, Hayes replied sharply. You will transfer the alien to the research vessel Endeavor, which is already en route to your position. Dr. Martin, Webb will handle proper debriefing and intelligence gathering. You are to provide them with all data you have collected about the alien and her technology. The communication ended, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. He knew that Dr. Webb had a reputation for being thorough in his methods. Zara would be treated well, but she would also be studied extensively. Every piece of information in her memory would be extracted and analyzed. She would probably never be allowed to return to her own people. Lisa approached him after the other. Crew members had left the bridge. She could see the conflict in his face and knew he was struggling with the Admiral's orders. Jake, you heard what she said? This is bigger than just our ship now. If Zara has information that could help protect human colonies, then we have to consider that. I gave her my word that she would be safe, Jake said. I promised her that we would not force her to give up her secrets. If I hand her over to Dr. Webb, then I am breaking that promise. But what choice do you have? Lisa asked. Those are direct orders from Earth Command. You cannot just ignore them. Jake spent the next 2 days thinking about his options. He could follow orders and transfer Zara to the research ship. It would be the smart thing to do for his career and possibly for humanity. Or he could find another way to handle the situation, even if it meant disobeying direct orders. During this time, Zara continued to recover and grow stronger. She had been walking around the ship and talking with different crew members. Amy had taught her to use the computer systems so she could access human databases and learn about their culture. What she found there fascinated and confused her. Your species has a very strange approach to warfare, she told Jake during one of their conversations. Most of your military history involves fighting other humans rather than conquering alien worlds. This is not how most spacefaring civilizations develop. We have not met many other civilizations yet, Jake replied. Most of our conflicts have been with ourselves. Yes, I can see that in your historical records, Zara said. But what interests me is how these conflicts ended. Many times the winners helped rebuild what they had destroyed. They provided aid to their former enemies. This behavior makes no sense from an evolutionary perspective. Jake was not sure how to explain human nature to someone who had studied dozens of alien species. Maybe we are just different from other civilizations. Maybe we learned cooperation instead of domination. That should not be possible, Zara insisted. Every species that reaches the stars does so through competition and aggression. The weak are eliminated and the strong survive to spread across the galaxy. Your species appears to have reached space while still protecting your weak members. This contradicts everything we know about evolutionary development. On the second day after receiving his orders, Jake made his decision. He called Zara to his private quarters and told her honestly about the situation. He explained about Admiral Hayes and Dr. Webb and what would happen if she went with them. "You will be treated well," he said. "They will not hurt you or torture you for information, but they will keep you for a very long time while they study everything about you and your people. You might never see your home again." Zara listened, without showing emotion, but Jake could see the fear in her large violet eyes. "What are my alternatives?" she asked quietly. "I can take you wherever you want to go," Jake said. "I know where there are trading stations on the edge of this sector. Some of them have embassies from different alien civilizations. You could probably find transport back to your people from there." "And what would happen to you for disobeying your orders?" Jake shrugged. "I would probably be relieved of command and sent back to Earth for discipline. My career in space exploration would be over. But that is my choice to make." Zara stared at him in amazement. "You would sacrifice your position and your future just to give me freedom, even though I am not even your species, even though you would gain nothing from helping me." "Yes," Jake said simply. "This makes no sense," Zara said, shaking her head. "You have already gained my gratitude by saving my life. You owe me nothing more. Why would you risk everything for someone you barely know?" "Because it is the right thing to do," Jake replied. "Because you deserve to choose your own fate. Because that is what humans do when we see someone who needs help." Zara was quiet for a long time while she considered his offer. Jake could see her mind working through the implications of accepting his help. Finally, she spoke again. "Captain Morrison, in all my years of studying different species, I have never encountered behavior like yours. Most civilizations operate on clear principles of exchange. Help is given only when something is expected in return. Cooperation happens only when both sides benefit equally. What you are offering contradicts everything I thought I knew about how intelligent species interact." "Maybe other species do things differently," Jake said, "but this is how humans work. We help because we can, not because we have to." "I need time to think about this decision," Zara said. "What you are offering is generous beyond anything I could have expected. But accepting your help would cost you greatly, and I am not sure I have the right to ask for such a sacrifice." Jake nodded. "Take all the time you need. The research ship will not arrive for another 3 days. Whatever you decide, I will respect. Your choice." After Zara left his quarters, Jake called a meeting with his senior staff. He told them about his conversation with Zara and his decision to offer her safe passage to a trading station. The reaction was exactly what he had expected. Kevin was the first to object. "Captain, you cannot be serious about this." Admiral Hayes was very clear about her orders. "If you disobey them, you will face a court-martial. Your career will be over." "I understand the consequences," Jake said, "but I will not break my word to someone who trusted me enough to accept our help." Lisa looked torn between supporting her captain and following regulations. "Jake, I know you want to do the right thing, but think about the bigger picture. The information Zara carries could save thousands of human lives. Do you have the right to let that opportunity slip away?" Amy was the only one who supported Jake's decision without reservation. "If we force her to give up her secrets, then we are no better than the raiders who destroyed our research station. We would be taking what we want and calling it justified because we need it." The debate continued for hours, but Jake's mind was already made up. Zara made her decision the next morning. She found Jake on the bridge reviewing navigation charts and told him quietly that she wanted to go to the trading station. Her voice was steady, but he could see the emotion in her eyes. She was grateful, but also confused by his willingness to sacrifice his career for her freedom. "I have sent a message to my people through secure channels," she said. "There is a Valorian embassy at the Kepler Station trading post. They will arrange transport back to our territory once I arrive there safely." Jake nodded and began plotting a course to the station. It would take 3 days to reach Kepler Station, which meant they would arrive just as the research vessel Endeavour was supposed to intercept them. Admiral Hayes would not be pleased when she discovered what had happened. During the journey, too, Kepler Station Zara spent most of her time observing the crew and asking questions about human behavior. She carried a small recording device that she used to document her observations. Jake learned that studying alien civilizations was her specialty, and that humans were unlike anything she had encountered before. Most species I have studied follow predictable patterns, she explained to Amy while they worked together in the computer lab. They compete for resources. They form alliances based on mutual benefit. They expand their territory through conquest or trade agreements. Your species does all of these things, but you also do something else that makes no logical sense. What is that? Amy asked. You help strangers without calculating the cost, Zara replied. You risk your own safety to protect others. You share resources with those who have nothing to offer in return. From an evolutionary perspective, this behavior should have been eliminated long ago because it provides no survival advantage. Amy thought about this while she worked on improving the translation programs. Maybe helping others does provide a survival advantage. Maybe species that cooperate are stronger than species that only compete. That is possible, Zara said. But in all our databases, there is no record of any other civilization developing this way. Every spacefaring species we know about reached the stars through individual achievement and aggressive expansion. Cooperation was always secondary to personal or tribal success. Over the 3 days of travel, Zara documented dozens of examples of human cooperation that amazed her. She watched Kevin and Lisa argue about resource allocation and then work together to find a solution that satisfied both of their concerns. She observed Amy helping a junior technician with a problem, even though it was not her responsibility. She saw Jake making decisions that put the welfare of his crew ahead of his own advancement. On the second day of their journey, Kevin and Amy had a serious disagreement about security protocols. Kevin wanted to restrict Zara's access to certain areas of the ship, while Amy argued that she should be treated as a guest rather than a potential threat. The argument became heated, with both humans raising their voices and showing obvious frustration. Zara watched this confrontation with intense interest. In her experience, such disputes usually ended with the stronger individual dominating the weaker one, or with both parties appealing to a higher authority for judgment. But Kevin and Amy did something different. They listened to each other's concerns and worked together to find a compromise that addressed both of their worries. How did you resolve that conflict without anyone losing status? Zara asked Amy later. What do you mean? Amy replied. In most species, arguments like that end with a clear winner and loser, Zara explained. The individual with higher rank or greater strength imposes their will on the other. But you and Kevin both got what you wanted without either of you being defeated. Amy looked puzzled by the question. We were not fighting each other. We were trying to solve a problem together. The goal was to find the best solution, not to prove who was right. This concept seemed to fascinate Zara more than anything else she had observed. She spent hours discussing it with different crew members, trying to understand how humans had developed such an approach to conflict resolution. On the final day, before reaching Kepler Station, Zara asked to speak privately with Jake. They met in the observation lounge, where they could see the stars streaming past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. Captain Morrison, I want to thank you for everything you have done for me, she said. But I also want to explain something that you may not understand about the significance of your actions. Jake waited for her to continue. In my 87 years of life, I have studied 43 different spacefaring civilizations, Zara said. Each of them developed what we call conquest protocols. These are systematic methods for exploiting weaker species or individuals. They Protocols become so deeply ingrained in their culture that they apply them automatically, even when meeting new civilizations. That sounds like a depressing way to live, Jake said. It is the way the galaxy works, Zara replied. Or at least it was until we encountered your species. Humans appear to have developed cooperation protocols instead of conquest protocols. You help first and ask questions later. You protect without demanding payment. You offer choices instead of ultimatums. She paused to look out at the stars before continuing. Do you know what this means, Captain? In all our records, there is only one other species that developed this way. They were called the Corallians, and they were our greatest allies for over 1,000 years. They were wiped out by the Korthic raiders 3 centuries ago. Jake felt a chill at her words. Are you saying that humans are in danger because we are too cooperative? No, Zara said firmly. I am saying that humans represent something precious that we thought was lost forever. The Corallians taught us that species which choose cooperation over conquest are not weaker. They are stronger because they can build alliances that last for millennia instead of decades. She turned to face him directly. What you have done for me proves that humanity has the same potential. You risked your career to give me freedom because you believed it was right. Not because you expected a reward. Not because someone forced you to do it. But because helping others is part of who you are as a species. I just did what anyone would do, Jake said. No, Captain, Zara replied. You did what humans do. And that makes all the difference in the galaxy. The next morning they arrived at Kepler Station. The trading post was a massive structure built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Ships from dozens of different species were docked at various ports along its surface. Jake had never seen such a diverse collection of alien vessels in one place. Zara gathered her few possessions and prepared to leave the ship. She had no belongings except the clothes Amy had given her, and the recording device containing her observations about human behavior. Everything else had been lost when her research station was destroyed. I have one final request, she said to Jake as they stood in the airlock. I want to share my observations about your species with the Valorian High Council. With your permission, I would like to recommend that we establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. You do not need my permission for that, Jake said. But I would be honored if you spoke well of us to your people. Zara smiled, which was the first time Jake had seen her look truly happy. Captain Morrison, you have given me much more than my freedom. You have given me hope that the galaxy can be a better place. She stepped through the airlock and was gone, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts and the certain knowledge that his career was about to end. 5 days after leaving Zara at Kepler Station, Jake found himself facing a court-martial hearing via subspace communication. Admiral Hayes appeared on the main screen looking angrier than he had ever seen her. Behind her sat 3 other senior officers who would judge his case. Captain Morrison, you deliberately disobeyed direct orders and allowed a valuable alien contact to escape our custody, the Admiral said. Dr. Webb arrived at the designated coordinates to find nothing but empty space. You have potentially cost humanity access to advanced technology that could save thousands of lives. Jake stood at attention in front of the communication array while his crew watched from their stations. He had prepared a defense, but knew it would probably not be enough to save his career. Admiral, I followed my conscience and honored the promise I made to someone who trusted us with her life. Your conscience is not military policy, Captain, Hayes replied sharply. You swore an oath to follow orders and protect human interests. Instead, you chose to protect an alien over your own species. Lisa stepped forward to support her captain. Admiral, with respect, Captain Morrison's actions were consistent with human values and military honor. He showed mercy to a helpless refugee and gained valuable intelligence about hostile raiders in the process. Admiral Hayes was not impressed by this argument. Chief Engineer Park, the captain's personal feelings are irrelevant. He had clear orders to transfer the alien to proper authorities for debriefing. His failure to comply constitutes gross insubordination. The hearing continued for over an hour, with each crew member defending Jake's decision. Even Kevin, who had opposed the plan from the beginning, spoke in favor of his captain's character and judgment. But the outcome seemed predetermined. Jake would be relieved of command and face possible imprisonment for disobeying direct orders. Amy was monitoring long-range sensors while the court-martial proceeded when she detected something unusual. Multiple ships were approaching their position at high speed. The energy signatures were unlike anything in their database, but they did not appear to be hostile. "Captain, I am reading 5 vessels on approach," she announced. "They are not broadcasting any identification, but their formation suggests peaceful intentions." Jake paused the court-martial hearing to investigate. On the main screen, they could see elegant ships with the same organic design as Zara's crashed vessel. The lead ship was larger than the others and decorated with intricate patterns that seemed to glow with their own light. Incoming transmission. Amy reported. "It is in Valorian language, but our translation system can handle it now." The face that appeared on screen was similar to Zara's, but older with silver markings around the eyes that seemed to indicate high status. The being spoke in the musical Valorian language, and Amy's computer translated the words into English. "This is Elder Marcus Thorne of the Valorian High Council requesting permission to come aboard the human vessel Starfire. We wish to speak with Captain Jake Morrison about matters of great importance." Admiral Hayes looked stunned by this development. "Captain, you will allow the aliens to board, but under no circumstances will you agree to anything without consulting. Earth Command first." Jake ignored the Admiral's instructions and granted docking permission to the Valorian ship. 20 minutes later, he found himself greeting a delegation of 5 Valorians in the main cargo bay. Elder Thorne was accompanied by 3 other officials, and to Jake's surprise, Zara herself. She approached him carrying an ornate crystalline device that pulsed with soft blue light. Her expression was formal, but he could see warmth in her violet eyes. "Captain Morrison, I have returned as promised," she said. "I told my people about your species and the kindness you showed me. The High Council has voted unanimously to offer humanity something that we have never given to any other civilization." Elder Thorne stepped forward and spoke through the translation device. "Captain Morrison, our young researcher, has shared her observations about human behavior with our leadership. What she discovered challenges everything we thought we knew about how intelligent species develop." "I do not understand," Jake said. "For 3,000 years, we have studied dozens of spacefaring civilizations," the Elder continued. "All of them followed the same pattern. They competed for resources. They conquered weaker species. They formed temporary alliances based only on mutual benefit. We believed this was the natural way for intelligence to evolve." Zara held up the crystalline device. "But humans are different, Captain. You help strangers without expecting rewards. You protect the weak instead of exploiting them. You choose cooperation over conquest, even when it costs you personally. We have seen this pattern only once before in our history," Elder Thorne said. "Our ancient allies, the Corallians, shared these same qualities. Together, our 2 species maintained peace across this entire sector for over 1,000 years. When they were destroyed by raiders, we thought such cooperation was lost forever." The Elder gestured to the crystal in Zara's hands. "This device contains our complete database of peaceful contact protocols and diplomatic frameworks. It also includes star charts showing safe passage through Valorian space and formal invitations for human ships to visit our research facilities." Jake stared at the gift in amazement. "Why are you giving us this? What do you want in return?" "Nothing, Captain," Zara said. "This is freely given because we believe humanity represents hope for a better galaxy. Species that choose compassion over conquest are rare and precious. They must be protected and supported. Elder Thorn smiled, which was a strange expression on his alien features. There is something else you should know, Captain Morrison. Your encounter with Zara was not entirely accidental. We have been observing human expansion for 50 years, documenting your behavior patterns. Her presence in that asteroid field was a test. A test, Jake asked. We needed to know if your species' reputation for compassion would hold true when personal costs were involved, Zara explained. Your decision to let me go freely knowing it would end your career proved everything our observations suggested about human nature. Admiral Hayes had been listening to this exchange with growing amazement. Now she interrupted the conversation. Captain Morrison, what exactly are these aliens offering us? Elder Thorn turned to address the communication screen. Admiral Hayes, we offer humanity full membership in the Valorian Alliance. This includes access to advanced defensive technologies trade agreements with dozens of peaceful species and protection from raiders like the Korthik. What are the terms of this alliance? The Admiral asked suspiciously. There are no terms, the Elder replied. We ask only that humans continue to be humans. Help those who need help. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Choose cooperation over conquest whenever possible. Jake felt dizzy as he realized what was happening. His career was not ending in disgrace. Instead, he was witnessing the beginning of a new era for humanity. The alliance Zara offered would solve the raider problem and open the galaxy to human exploration. Captain Morrison, Elder Thorn said, the High Council has a proposal for you. We would like you to command the first joint human-Valorian exploration mission. Your actions have proven that you understand how to build trust between species. But Admiral Hayes was about to relieve me of command, Jake protested. Admiral Hayes cleared her throat loudly. Actually, Captain Morrison, in light of these new developments, I am promoting you to Fleet Captain and assigning you to head our new Alien Relations Division. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything Jake had ever experienced. The Valorians presented him with a crystal star that marked him as an official ambassador between their species. They gave similar gifts to his entire crew, recognizing their support for his decisions. As the celebration continued, Jake found himself standing beside Zara, watching their two species work together to plan future missions. You knew this would happen, he said. You knew your people would reward us for helping you. I hoped they would, Zara admitted, but I could not be certain until I saw how you treated me when you thought no one was watching. That is when character reveals itself, Captain. Not when others expect you to be good, but when being good costs you everything. Jake looked around at his crew, who were excitedly discussing new technologies and exploration opportunities with the Valorian delegation. So what happens now? Now we show the galaxy that there is a better way, Zara said. Species that choose cooperation over conquest. Civilizations that help instead of exploit. Together, we can build something that will last for thousands of years. The first joint mission launched 3 months later, with Jake commanding a mixed crew of humans and Valorians. Their goal was to make peaceful contact with other species and invite them to join an alliance based on mutual respect rather than military strength. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, Jake thought about the choice he had made in that asteroid field. Helping one injured alien had seemed like a small thing at the time, but sometimes small acts of kindness change the entire galaxy.